The internet didn't just shake last night, it cracked wide open. Because when Tamar Braxton finally spoke, she didn't just throw shade. She dropped a grenade straight into the middle of the Braxton family legacy. What started as whispers in comment sections has now exploded into one of the most disturbing celebrity scandals people say they've ever seen attached to this family. And the reason everyone is frozen right now: the names Tamar allegedly connected should never be spoken in the same sentence. Fans are calling it the moment everything stopped making sense. For years, people thought the Braxton drama was about jealousy, money, ego, and reality TV edits. But now, Tamar is allegedly saying the truth is far darker, and that what really went on behind closed doors was never meant to see daylight. When she hinted at a dirty relationship involving Towanda and Michael Braxton, jaws dropped. But when Ashlee's mother's name entered the conversation, timelines started collapsing and the internet went dead silent. Old clips resurfaced overnight. Group chats lit up. Bloggers froze before posting. And suddenly everyone was asking the same question: if this isn't true, why does nobody look shocked anymore? Sources claim Tamar didn't plan to expose this, that she tried to protect the family for years, that she swallowed things she shouldn't have. But something finally snapped, and once she realized the truth could never stay buried, she decided she'd rather be hated than silent. And here's the part that has fans terrified. They say Tamar didn't scream this time. She didn't rant. She didn't spiral. She spoke calmly, clearly, like someone who had already accepted the fallout. And when someone speaks like that, it usually means they're telling a truth that's been waiting a long time to escape. By the time the clip finished circulating, the damage was already done. Tamar didn't have to name names outright. She didn't have to spell it out. The pauses, the phrasing, the way her voice dropped when she said certain words, that's what set everything on fire. People who have followed the Braxton family for decades knew exactly what she was pointing toward, and that's what made it terrifying. Because this wasn't another petty sister argument or a who said what moment. This felt like something that had been buried on purpose. According to multiple so-called insiders, Tamar had been holding this in for years. Not months, years. One source close to production claimed there were entire conversations that never made it to air, moments where Tamar allegedly tried to raise concerns only to be shut down immediately. Not argued with, not debated. Shut down. Cameras cut. Mics muted. Energy shifted. And every time the same message was sent to her behind the scenes: this is not a conversation we're having publicly. But something changed recently. Fans noticed it before Tamar ever spoke. The unfollows, the missing family photos, the tension in interviews where names were avoided a little too carefully. Tamar looked different, quieter, less reactive, like someone who had finally decided to stop fighting for approval she was never going to get. Then came the leak. A short voice note, allegedly sent to a close friend, started making the rounds in private group chats. In it, a voice believed to be Tamar says, "I'm not crazy, I didn't imagine it, and I'm done protecting people who never protected me." The clip cuts off right after she mentions family lines being crossed. That phrase alone sent fans into full investigation mode. Suddenly, old episodes were being rewatched with new eyes. Fans started pointing out moments that once seemed harmless but now felt uncomfortable. A look that lingered too long. A joke that didn't land right. A tension that didn't match the situation. People were building timelines, screenshots, side-by-side clips. And right at the center of it all were Towanda and Michael, names Tamar allegedly never expected to have to say out loud. Another insider claimed Tamar confronted the situation years ago in private, thinking it would be handled quietly. Instead, she was told she was misinterpreting things and making it bigger than it needed to be. That phrase hit a nerve with viewers, especially women watching who recognized it instantly. Because how many times has that line been used to silence someone who's uncomfortable but afraid to push back? What really shocked fans was the alleged involvement of Ashlee's mother. Not because of who she is publicly, but because of how her name connects the dots in a way no one was ready for. According to whispers, her presence in certain moments raised questions Tamar couldn't ignore anymore. Questions about proximity, about boundaries, about why certain relationships were treated as off-limits topics even inside the family. Social media went into meltdown mode. Twitter threads hit thousands of comments in minutes. Some fans begged Tamar to stop before it got worse. Others begged her to keep going, saying the truth mattered more than comfort. A few celebrities even chimed in vaguely, posting things like, "Family secrets are the heaviest, and silence protects the wrong people." Nobody named the Braxtons directly, but everyone knew who they were talking about. Behind the scenes, the fallout was immediate. A source close to the family claimed emergency calls were made the moment Tamar's comments started trending. Group chats lit up. Lawyers were allegedly looped in. One insider said, "They didn't think she'd ever say anything like that out loud. They thought fear would keep her quiet forever." And that's the part that changed everything. Because fear didn't work this time. Tamar didn't cry on camera. She didn't yell. She didn't play the role people expect from her. She spoke like someone who had already lost what she was afraid of losing. Like someone who realized the price of silence was heavier than the price of backlash. As the night went on, another alleged message surfaced, this one a text exchange between Tamar and an unnamed family member. In it, Tamar reportedly writes, "If you knew and said nothing, you're not innocent." The reply, just 3 words, "You're hurting us." That response set fans off all over again. Because Tamar didn't say she wanted to hurt anyone. She said she wanted the truth acknowledged, and those are not the same thing. By morning, blogs were scrambling to keep up. Some pulled stories minutes after posting them. Others refused to touch it at all. One editor anonymously admitted, "This isn't messy tea. This is the kind of story that ruins legacies." And that's exactly where the tension sits now. Because Tamar didn't expose everything. Not yet. She left just enough unsaid to make it clear there's more. And according to people close to her, the next revelation won't be hinted at. It won't be vague. It won't be deniable. It will be direct. And when that happens, the Braxton family won't just be dealing with opinions anymore. They'll be forced to answer questions they've avoided for years. The morning after Tamar's words detonated across the internet, the silence from the rest of the family was louder than any statement could have been. No quick denials. No calm Instagram posts. No, we're handling this privately. That's when people knew this wasn't just gossip that would blow over by lunchtime. This was the kind of mess that makes phones go dark and lawyers start packing. According to multiple sources who claim they've been around the family for years, Towanda was the first to react behind closed doors, and not with confusion, but with anger. One insider described it as panic masked as outrage. The kind of reaction that doesn't ask, "Why would she say this?" but instead demands, "How did she find out?" That detail alone set social media on fire. Because if Tamar was making things up, as some fans initially tried to argue, why wasn't anyone calmly correcting the record? Why were comments being limited? Why were posts quietly disappearing? Why did a certain family member allegedly call production late that night demanding unreleased footage never see the light of day? Then came the screenshots. A set of blurred, unverified messages began circulating on X, allegedly between Tamar and someone listed only as M in them. Tamar is said to have written, "You let this happen around her. You don't get to act shocked now." The reply, "You don't understand the whole situation." That phrase, "the whole situation," became a rallying cry online. Because whenever someone says that, it usually means the story is much bigger than what's being shown. Fans started pulling up timelines, connecting dots that once seemed random. When did Towanda start distancing herself from Tamar? When did Michael suddenly stop appearing at family gatherings on camera? Why did Ashlee's mother, a name rarely mentioned publicly, seem to quietly exit the picture around the same time certain tensions escalated? One longtime viewer posted a thread that went viral overnight, laying out episode clips, interviews, and subtle changes in body language. It wasn't accusatory. It was observational. And that made it even more unsettling. Because when you line it all up, the pattern starts to look intentional. Another so-called insider claimed Tamar once tried to address her concerns during a private family meeting years ago. According to this source, she wasn't yelling. She wasn't accusing. She was asking questions. Questions about boundaries. About why certain interactions felt inappropriate. About why she was being told to mind her business, when the situation involved family and children. The meeting allegedly ended with Tamar being told she was too emotional and projecting. Words that hit a nerve for a lot of viewers, especially women watching who know exactly how often those labels get used to shut someone down. Meanwhile, Towanda's public image stayed untouched, calm, measured, the responsible one. And that contrast is what made Tamar's pain look like chaos instead of concern. One fan tweeted, "The loudest person always looks guilty, even when they're the only one telling the truth." That tweet alone racked up tens of thousands of likes. Then the pressure shifted. A blogger with close ties to reality TV production claimed executives were scrambling, not because of ratings, but because of liability. "If any of this becomes specific," they said, "it's no longer entertainment, it's evidence." That comment sent chills through fan circles. At the same time, celebrities adjacent to the Braxtons began posting cryptic messages. One wrote, "Some families survive on silence, others rot from it." Another posted, "Protecting the truth feels like betrayal until you realize who's really being protected." No names, no tags, but everyone knew. And still, Tamar stayed quiet. That's what scared people the most. Because Tamar is known for reacting immediately, for clapping back, for going live. This time, she didn't. She let the speculation breathe. She let the discomfort spread. According to someone close to her, she said everything she needed to say already. Now she's watching who exposes themselves. Then came the alleged phone call. A source claimed Tamar received a late-night call from a family member begging her to think about how this looks. Not asking if she was okay, not asking what she needed, just how it looked. Tamar's reported response, "It looks like the truth." That line exploded online after being leaked by a gossip page that swore the source was verified. And suddenly, the narrative shifted. This wasn't about Tamar being too much. This wasn't about sibling rivalry. This was about a pattern of minimizing discomfort to preserve an image, about choosing silence over safety, about deciding who gets believed and who gets labeled difficult. Ashlee's mother's name continued to hover like a shadow, not because anyone accused her of wrongdoing directly, but because her proximity raised questions no one wanted to answer publicly. Questions about who knew what, about who was present, about why certain dynamics were treated as normal when they shouldn't have been. By the end of the week, hashtags were trending demanding clarity, not cancellation. Fans weren't screaming, "Expose them." They were asking, why wasn't this taken seriously sooner? And that's when another leak surfaced. An alleged production email dated years back included a line that stopped people cold. "This topic is off limits. Do not push her." No name attached, no explanation, just a directive. And fans immediately asked, who is her? And what topic was so dangerous it had to be buried? As questions stacked up, one thing became painfully clear. Tamar wasn't exposing something new. She was exposing something that had been protected. And the next time she speaks, according to people close to her, she won't be hinting. She won't be pausing. She won't be letting anyone fill in the blanks for her. She'll be naming exactly who told her to stay quiet, and why. And when that happens, there will be no way to spin it as just family drama anymore. By the time the third wave hit, it was no longer just the fans asking questions. It was the people who had stayed silent for years, suddenly realizing the silence wasn't protecting anyone anymore. According to someone described only as a family-adjacent source, Tamar didn't plan to go further. She expected the noise to force a private conversation, maybe even accountability behind closed doors. What she didn't expect was what happened next, a coordinated effort to rewrite the story in real time. That's when the alleged calls started. Multiple bloggers reported that the same talking points were being quietly fed to different outlets. Tamar was spiraling. Tamar was misremembering. Tamar was projecting old pain. The language was eerily consistent. Like it had been rehearsed. Fans noticed immediately. One viral post read, "When everybody uses the same excuse, that's not coincidence. That's damage control." And then Tamar broke her silence again. Not loudly, not emotionally, but surgically. She didn't accuse, she didn't name crimes. She did something far more unsettling. She asked questions out loud, questions that couldn't be unanswered once spoken. "Why?" she reportedly asked during a private recording that later leaked in fragments. "Was I told to stay out of it if nothing was wrong?" "Why?" she continued. "Was I warned that bringing this up would destroy the family if there was nothing to destroy?" "And why?" she paused. "Was I made to feel like protecting a child was betrayal?" That last line hit hard. Because suddenly, the conversation wasn't about who did what. It was about who shut things down and why. Fans began revisiting old moments with new eyes. Clips where Tamar tried to change the subject and was shut down. Scenes where tension spiked for no clear reason. Interviews where she looked like she wanted to say something but swallowed it. What once looked like drama now looked like restraint. A therapist on TikTok, who specializes in family systems, stitched one of the viral clips and said something that set the platform on fire. In families with unspoken boundaries, the person who speaks up becomes the problem. Not because they're wrong, but because they're disrupting the agreement to pretend. That video alone reached millions. Meanwhile, the pressure on Towanda and Michael intensified, not through direct accusations, but through proximity. Fans weren't saying, "You did this." They were asking, "Why was this never addressed? Why was Tamar isolated? Why did certain names become untouchable topics?" And still, no clear statement came. That silence became the loudest answer of all. Another alleged insider claimed Tamar was offered a deal not financial but strategic. According to this source, she was encouraged to focus on healing, to move forward, and to let the past stay buried. In exchange, things would go back to normal. Tamar's response, allegedly, was simple. Normal for who? That quote circulated everywhere. At the same time, Ashlee's mother became the unspoken center of the storm. Not because she spoke out, she didn't, but because people realized how carefully her presence had been erased from the narrative. No interviews, no clarifications, just distance. And in celebrity families, distance is rarely accidental. One entertainment lawyer weighed in anonymously, saying, "When families fear liability, they don't argue facts, they argue optics." That single sentence reframed everything. By now, Tamar wasn't being viewed as the messy one anymore. She was being seen as the disruptor of a long-standing agreement, the agreement to keep things vague enough to survive. And here, where it took an unexpected turn. A respected industry figure, someone who had worked with the family years ago, posted a now-deleted message that read, "I remember being told certain topics were off the table. I didn't ask why. I should have." Screenshots spread before it disappeared. That's when the tone shifted from gossip to reckoning. Tamar hasn't said she's releasing more, but she hasn't denied it either. People close to her say she's tired of being framed as unstable when she's been the most consistent one in the room. Tired of being told to calm down instead of being listened to. Tired of carrying the emotional cost of everyone else's comfort. And the most chilling part. According to one source, Tamar said, "If they think silence saved them before, they don't understand what's different now. I'm not scared of being misunderstood anymore." That line landed like a warning. Because if Tamar decides to stop speaking in questions and start speaking in timelines, the conversation will change permanently. Not just for her family, but for how audiences look at reality TV families that survive on carefully edited truths. Right now, everything is still technically alleged, still unclear, still wrapped in polite ambiguity. But ambiguity only works until someone refuses to carry it alone. And Tamar has made it clear, she's done carrying it. The next thing she says won't be emotional, it won't be chaotic, it will be deliberate. And once it's out, there will be no way to put it back. If you're still here right now, that tells me everything. Because this isn't just celebrity mess anymore, this is a story about silence, power, and what happens when someone finally refuses to carry other people's secrets for them. What's unfolding isn't finished, not even close. The pauses, the missing statements, the carefully worded non-denials, those are not endings. Those are delays. And delays usually mean something bigger is being decided behind the scenes. So this is the moment where you decide whether this story gets buried or fully exposed. Hit like not because it's entertaining, but because engagement is the only reason stories like this don't quietly disappear. Algorithms don't protect truth, people do. Subscribe and turn on notifications right now, because when the next piece drops, it won't come with a warning. It won't be teased. It'll surface suddenly, and if you miss it, the narrative will already be rewritten by the time you catch up. And most importantly, comment, say what you noticed, say what didn't sit right, say what questions you still have. Because silence has been the most powerful weapon in this story for years, and conversation is the only thing that breaks it. This family has survived on controlled narratives for decades, but control slips the moment people start paying attention. And right now, attention is the most dangerous thing of all. Stay here, stay alert. Because if Tamar speaks again, and everything suggests she will, the next chapter won't just shock people. It will change how this entire story is remembered.